Greetings, beloved. I want to first thank Reverend Mayor Carway and the United Methodist Creation Justice Summit for this invitation to exercise God's call on my life. I was extremely humbled by your invitation and fortified by the overwhelming response. Before beginning, please allow me to take a moment to honor the Chickasaw, whose land I speak from. I also like to honor my ancestors whose shoulders I stand on. I honor my ancestors such as a Beth Bond, who would remind us that sustainability and creation care is a journey, not a destination. Now, I'm with the United Methodist Church, which is the second largest Protestant denomination in the United States. So I feel at home with telling you that the title of my talk derives from the book of Esther. Hear what was said. For if you keep silence at such a time as this, relief and deliverance will rise from the Jews from one quarter, but you and your father's family will perish. Who knows? Perhaps you have come to royal dignity for just such a time as this. Before going further, please allow me to give you some context. In addition, I only have 15 minutes and I'm trying to get done in 10, so I won't be all day. You can pretty much consider this just a drive-by. But while I have you, just sit back and take a journey with me, if you will. A journey to a time when a people felt unsafe. They found themselves sheltering in place. A certain group of people lived in a state of fear because they were being discriminated against. There was also this constant threat of government-sanctioned violence. There was resistance, and there were plots to silence this resistance. There was exploitation of labor and resources, and the people were being forced and coerced into worshiping a demagogue who was being advised by an inept administration who could not handle a crisis, but they had poor policies in place that only protected a certain people. Now, you may think that I'm talking about our modern day society. But beloved, I'm talking about a time and antiquity that speaks to our present day. And just like we need a Mordecai and an Esther then, we need a Mordecai and an Esther now. Now, since I'm the one that's doing the speaking right now, I'll play the role of Mordecai. And since you're the second largest Christian or Protestant denomination in the U.S., you'll get to play the role of Esther. Mordecai is the messenger. Mordecai has experienced the hurt of his people. He has seen their plight. He has been a victim of state-sanctioned violence and intimidation. He is a part of a community that is being destroyed. He has also heard the plans for policies that destroy life, to divide and conquer. He's aware of what is happening around him. Mordecai also has access to power. Although Mordecai knows the plight of his people, he also has access to the palace. See, here's what makes Mordecai so dope. Mordecai uses his privilege to help his people. Now, maybe I'm not the only Mordecai in the room. Maybe there are some others in here that have seen the plight of their people and the planet and have decided to use your privilege to help others. Yet, if I be honest, I fear that many of us sit more in the seat of Esther than Esther sits in the palace. Esther is disconnected from community. Esther has more resources at her disposal. Esther does not have to be uncomfortable. Esther does not have to see what's going on. She's protected. She has wealth, so she has provision. And she's the queen, so she has privilege. However, Esther is not privy to the information that Mordecai has. In order for her to get the full scope of the problem, she needed to listen to someone who had experienced the problem. Beloved, we cannot fully know how to help until we listen to those who have experienced the problem that we are trying to deal with. I need you to get this. It is time for us to vision a ministry that celebrates and follows God amongst us. We can no longer afford to be extractive in our relationships. This is not sustainable. We cannot be extractive in our relationships with creation. Sustainability and creation care is a journey, not a destination. Therefore, we must fight to change the systems that extract and replace them with systems that are regenerative. Mordecai reminds Esther that she has a part to play. Edmund Burke said it this way: the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. He tells Esther that she can't go silent now. He says, don't think that you are going to not participate. You won't be saved in your silence. You can't look at this with your eyes wide shut and your jaws locked. He says God will deliver, but you won't be a part of it. Can I pause parenthetically here and tell you that we are in some unprecedented times? There are devastating climate disasters, public violence on Black bodies, pandemic, and the rolling back of protections or environmental protections at an alarming rate. All of this is pointing to the fact that we are operating contrary to God's ecology. Now is not the time for us to be silent. The planet needs our voice. The people need our message. He says, you were born for such a time as this. Listen, now is your time because you too are affected. Now is your time because you are positioned. Now is your time. Beloved, can I tell you, now is your time? Now is your time too, because you too are affected by this. Dr. King said it this way: in a real sense, all life is interrelated. All men are caught in a single inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. In other words, we can't escape. We are community, whether we like it or not, and we can't afford to live as if we aren't community. Now is the time, because you are in position. You are the second largest Protestant denomination in the United States with 7.8 million members. You have enough influence to make a strong statement for justice and a strong impact on equity. You have resources to build bridges by helping vulnerable communities to weatherize their homes while advocating for a federal and a state program to do the same. This will help heal both people and planet. Now is the time for you to raise your voice and reorient to the world towards a regenerative relationship that maintain God's ecology. Now is the time for you to vote, to raise your voice in favor of policies that place people and planet over profit. Your voice is your vote, and it carries weight. Use it. Use it to do justice. Use it. Use it to love mercy. Use it. Use it to show that we walk humbly before our God. Use it to love your neighbor. You were made for such a time as this. And after he tells Esther that she is made for such a time as this, my brothers and my sisters, I need you to see Esther's reaction. Esther says, she makes a vow that says, if I die, let me die, but I'm going to see the king. In other words, I'm going to speak truth in power. I'm going to take care of those who are most vulnerable, those who are hurting. I'm going to make sure that my vote is a vote that is a vote for progress on the climate. I'm going to make sure that I do what it takes to ensure that those who are the least and the left out have equal chance at life. Beloved, it is up for us to end this constant cycle of injustice. You have your voice. You have your vote. Use it, because you were made for such a time as this. Thank you. Today and as always, I offer to you love, peace, and light.